And joining us in the hot seat of the Situation Room this morning is Catherine Omanyo. She is the Busia Woman Rep and the Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Movement. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, we've been busy the whole weekend.
Yes.
We are creating or causing a resurgence within the youths.
Okay.
We have to make them be in charge of making or building the government they want.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm sure we're going to get into more details of that. It's your first time in the hot seat of the Situation Room. So thank you for doing this with us this morning. One of the things that we do every week, we go to a different African country. We come back from that country with its proverbs. And then we give you the awesome task of then interpreting what that is. Dennis will share where we are this week.
Today we are in Equatorial Guinea. The President Teodoro Obiang Nguema has been in power for 47 years, that is since 1979. Now, when you talk about the country, two things. It's a very wealthy country because they have oil deposits that they mine and they use that, right? The problem is they do not process it. It goes out of the country, then comes back. They're also a country that stands out because it is the only African country that speaks Spanish. So they speak Spanish, French, and Portuguese, and that has helped them in terms of diplomatic circles because they're able to engage with the rest of the world. Let's go to the proverb. He who listens builds a house. He who talks tears it down.
Yes.
How would you interpret it?
People who listen, they gather all information from everybody, young, old, and that information can help them see clearly if they were going to make a blunder or if they are in line. And the silent majority or the other ones, the other side, whatever they are going to do is okay with majority of the people. And people who talk without listening.
Act.
Yes, they talk, yes, but then what direction? They will be on either side of the spectrum, just being on rooftops, being loud, yes, but they are empty most of the time.
Okay.
That's how I will interpret it.
I would say so too.
Empty devils make too much noise.
Loudest. Yeah.
That's true, and I guess we can make a hop, skip, and a jump from that to the broad-based promise, which is the conversation that we're having this morning. There's a lot of things that are coming through. Governance is supposed to be then activated for the people at large. And what we have seen is conversations about how few people will benefit. Let's look at the broad-based promise. What do you mean few? Well, when you talk about zoning, what are we talking about? Well, we'll get into that in just a minute. Okay. The broad-based promise, from your understanding as Secretary General of the ODM, which, by the way, is that an acting position or is that a firm position according to the ODM constitution and what happened? Is that acting or are you the Secretary General of ODM?
I am the Secretary General of ODM,
okay.
The biggest party in East and Central Africa.
All right.
Yes.
So for the purposes of this conversation, that has been established. So from your understanding, the broad-based promise, we're not necessarily talking about what the broad-based promise is for Kenyans, but what was the broad-based promise for the parties that entered into this agreement?
First of all, many people are lazy in thinking. If Baba, before his demise, if he decided to take any action, it was for everybody, not himself. He was never egocentric. Walking in that platform to negotiate was good for all of us because where the country was headed, we would be living in a forest somewhere or seeking asylum or in those tents I see in Dadaab. So he went in to calm the situation. And that is why we are here today enjoying the comfort places we are in right now. Now, broad-based was meant to make devolution profound. Many times we had leaders in this nation who focused in developing their regions only. But Baba asked us, younger politicians, to defend devolution. Why? If I went to Turkana today, or Busia where I come from, I shouldn't suffer if I wanted to fly out of my town to go to another place. If there is an airstrip in Muranga or Nyeri, why shouldn't we have it in Busia? If we have good hospitals in Eldoret, why should I miss the same in Busia? So Baba went in to make sure that devolution is not just theory, but is pragmatically felt across the country. Going into broad-based again, when Baba left us, I had some youth saying that the Constitution has died. It hasn't. It is us, especially ODM. I describe ODM as the conscience of the Constitution. Many times when we went for maandamano, many people would describe it as a holiday or something like that. Even recently, people are saying we miss Baba for these extra holidays that Baba used to create. But it wasn't really that. It was whenever Baba could say something, he had seen what we haven't. And he would up his game by saying, together we can, let us hold hands, go in the street to stop this nonsense or to make sure that it happens. So broad-based people have made it sound like a selfish thing.
Broad-based people? Who are broad-based people?
It wasn't for selfish gains. It was to bring sobriety. It was to make sure that the government does not belong to few.
Okay.
It belongs to all of us. If we left it just to Ruto and the Gachagwas of those days, we would be no more. So I'm sorry, I just
need some clarification on that, SG. If you left what to President Ruto and Gachagua? If you left the government just to William Ruto, we would not have anything to hold on to? Is that what you're saying?
Gachagua.
Oh, so Ruto is out of it now?
Ruto is okay.
The same,
he reached out.
Okay.
A good leader, you don't just thump and say, oh, I have it all, I know it all, I'm in charge. But he reached out to Baba. And that's a sign of a leader who is very strong. Some people think if you reach out for help, you are weak. No. Ruto is a very strong president. So reaching out to Baba, he needed guidance. He needed wisdom, how to handle the situation. And he was burning. You know, sometimes you can have a partner who is eating your nerves every day. You give them more time maybe to change, to think again, to be part of a solution. But the person is insensitive. So he reached out for help, for advice, and Baba went in. So to me, broad-based comes in as a strength, as a positive gesture for all Kenyans.
Yes. One would ask the question, let's look at the broad-based agreement and the 10-point agenda that were in that, right?
Yeah.
So you look at, let me just go through them. So full implementation of NADCO report. There's inclusivity in all spaces of life, protecting and strengthening devolution, economic investment. Young people must be mainstreamed, leadership and integrity, the right to peaceful assembly and compensation of all pending claims of human rights, national debt, that is urgent audit of how much has been borrowed and how it has been used, fight against corruption, stopping wastage of public resources, protecting sovereignty of the people. Of all the 10 points under broad-based, what has been achieved? What's there to show?
A lot. Actually, many people wanted the 10-point agenda to happen in a day. You sleep and wake up the next day and we have it all. No, it's progressive. Looking at where our country is, I think we have achieved a lot. One, just the other day, maandamano, it was so peaceful. It was peaceful.
But Mheshimiwa, I think
we don't have people, counting bodies and, saying we were not allowed or the way it used to be.
But you see, you talk about maandamano, and I think it's great that you've gone there. But you remember, Broad-Based was formed after 2024, the anti-finance bill protest, right?
Yeah.
But in 2025, a year later, after formation of Broad-Based, over 60 Kenyans were killed under the government that is Broad-Based. How then do you speak of what Broad-Based intended to achieve, extrajudicial killings stopping, yet we see that happening in the union that is Broad-Based? Has Broad-Based failed based off that specific agenda of extrajudicial killings ending?
And that's why I said it's progressive. I'm a teacher. You can be in class and teach and think that everybody understood, only to come back and as a teacher, you go back to revision. When Baba came up with President Ruto to do this, they actually had some boxes to tick. And like I've said, even though a few other things have happened that are not palatable, I still think there is some progress. And you have witnessed the president going around the country, launching many projects. Where I come from, in Busia, we didn't even have an airstrip. We didn't have a stadium. Yet, if you look at Busia properly, Busia should be Nairobi.
Do you have an airstrip and a stadium now in Busia?
Now they have launched.
No, I'm sorry. Do you now have okay.
You cannot construct an airstrip in a week or 2 weeks.
But I need to understand something so that we also don't go to a place whereby we run away from the issues. These things that you talk about, whereby they could be agents of development, one must ask, were they the stipulations that were put into that 10-point agenda? Because there were 10. The first one being the full implementation of the NADCO report. That was the first one, which on its own was an extensive report and things that had to be done. But what we hear is that there is travel around the country and that there is the launching of projects, which if you look at the 10-point agenda, that doesn't show up.
Remember,
in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Or 5.
Wait,
and those are the first 5.
I just
so
want
we use that.
Clarify
something. Use that because it's the point that you've used right now.
Yeah.
Because you are now talking about a progressive 10-point agenda implementation, whereby it was very clear at that point that this was stipulated by time. And coming to the end of that period is when we started to hear this talk of progression, of progressiveness. And the examples that continue to be used are those of the president launching projects.
You have to have the money to do things. Remember, 10-point agenda is a spit of the NADCO report. When I start counting what I have witnessed, I'm ticking boxes.
But were those the 10 points? You can witness things that were not in the 10 points.
Among them. So I'm talking of what is happening in my county.
Okay. Which is supposed to happen anyway when you have county bosses.
Yes,
you didn't need the 10-point agenda for devolution to be... No. It is constitutionally bound. Devolution. Right, and that's why you have an election whereby you elect a governor. You didn't need 2 parties to come together. And this is my question here. Did it need 2 parties to come together for the constitution to be followed?
To be implemented, pretty much.
To even be implemented.
Let me remind you, this country since independence, why do we have other counties more developed and not others? So this rubs it in, makes it like deliberate that no county should be lagging behind. So all the youths, the women, people living with disability in those counties that are still lagging behind must put
Why do they lag behind? I think we need to get to this here. When we're saying that there are counties, 47 of them, and all of them are not at par. But you know what? There's something called equitable share. All right?
But
Senate goes and they lobby for this money. We go to an election where billions of shillings are spent for somebody to be elected. You have a county boss in the name of a governor. They have a deputy governor. They have an entire county assembly who are elected and are paid a salary every month. But now, what you're trying to help us understand, and maybe you can please open this up for us to understand, that people are given resources for which are not enough. People are given resources. They've been given resources since 2013. There have been people who have been elected, some people serving 2 terms, some people serving just 1 are not able to. But here we are and we're saying that with the resources that you've been given, going through the electoral process, we still need to nudge you a little bit with this broad-based government for you to do your job. That's
all
an
of us are
indictment.
responsible.
That's an indictment, don't you think?
All of us are responsible. If you come from a county where your governor is not working, you have yourself to blame, not anybody. I am talking of 10-point agenda.
Yes.
In the supplementary budget, we have increased. Every county will get something extra to develop their own little world, their county. So
not taking into consideration what has happened over the last 13 years of devolution?
It is upon the 190. You know, if you do nothing, when your governor is sleeping, your county assembly members are sleeping, you know, the senator is sleeping, the women rep is sleeping, then it is you to blame, not the government, not anybody. Many times we are used to hovering our fingers on leaders, but the same thumb also asks you, what is your role? So we should be tasked, all of us, to be responsible in development.
So we don't need a broad-based program then. Based on what you're saying, Kenyans need to be responsible. Kenyans need to be responsible enough to choose their leaders right, and if they're not doing what they ought to do, kick them out. You don't need a broad-based government essentially to do the things which you say is not the fault.
Every nation, even America, people come up with organs. Call it whatever you want to call it. In Kenya, it is broad-based because of something. There is a purpose. There is a drive behind it. There's a doctrine that they follow. So every nation,
in a lot of countries, it's called their constitution,
needs an organization to pace up or to drive the government or whatever institution they want to do their job. So we cannot say that broad-based is there and it shouldn't have been there. In fact, to me, it's a plus for Kenyans. Yes, if they were only a little bit positive, many times 90% of all of us, we are negative from the beginning.
Why do you think that is?
See how even me, when I was promoted immediately, somebody who does not even know me, hey, I was roasted for breakfast, fried for lunch, then I was
consumed for dinner.
Yes, so somebody who does not know me, you even find people that I personally respected writing on their status, that illiterate woman, she never went to school. Oh my God, you know, now which way is ODM going? And I just said, you cannot evaluate me in 1 day or in 3 months. And compare me with the people who've been there for 8 years and above. So let us try to have some positive vibes on this.
In the spirit of positivity and positive vibes, when you began, you indicated that ODM has been the conscience of the constitution.
Yes.
And to a majority of Kenyans, almost half of the country, they look at ODM as a voice of the people.
Yes.
And it's a voice of the people because of what Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, Joey, what he stood for.
Yes.
That when things are not working, he would not keep silent. He would come out there and ask critical questions. When there are policies or laws that needed to either be amended or, you know, conversations to be strengthened, enhanced, etc., he would send his parliamentarians, you know, and they would go in there and ask accountability questions.
Yeah.
In the spirit of the broad-based government, you have actually even contributed. He contributed experts, 4 of them, to the government to be able to support and ensure that things are working, and that mantra of the voice of the people still stays. Things are happening, Mheshimiwa. We are having goons all over the country. in security concerns. People are asking questions. We are not hearing ODM as a party that has been founded on proper demonstrations, sweat and blood of the Kenyan people, asking questions led by Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga. Fuel prices went up, skyrocketed, and people were, complaining, talking, asking questions. One of your experts actually sits at the apex of that particular ministry. We didn't hear, at least I did not hear, and a few friends of mine who believed that if Baba were here, certain questions would have been asked. Accountability of parliament, things that are happening, including counties, where things are not working effectively. You have senators who belong to your party. Do you think that ODM is still that party that is a darling of the people, the voice that would really speak for the people of Kenya when things are not working?
ODM is, I think you chose not to listen.
Please remind me.
Yes, the whistleblower was Opio Wandai.
Was it though?
He actually noticed that something was off and informed the president. That weekend, I personally went wild and said, Wananchi cannot be suffering, and I'm in broad-based, comfortable. It will be broad-based if Wananchi are happy first. We put Wananchi first. So since Baba died, we have been through a lot. We have been through the valleys and the thorns. And as we continue healing as well, people have imagined that something has gone down. Nothing has gone down. I'm telling you, the women and men that sit to help give direction of the party are very sober people, and they are firm. You might think that we are delaying in showcasing what we are, but they are good. I can trust them to handle anything, anytime for Kenyans.
Looking at the broad-based promise and some of the things that we see, there's been a little bit of, a clawing between the two, I guess, the only two parties in this broad-based agreement, so much so that it called for a meeting to be had at State House so that both of you could kind of, cross your T's and dot your I's. What was the problem? Zoning, not zoning, who would be deputy president, for who is a position reserved? And that it seemed that soon after you had that meeting, everybody's okay. Or are you?
We are quick to conclude.
Well, I mean, everybody came out smiling of State House. One would only assume that a smile is indicative of a satisfactory position.
Life is short. I have to smile even if I'm boiling in.
Okay.
First of all, I do not know if people understand this zoning thing.
Explain to us from your position.
Baba always did it, but being the children of Baba, we always never asked questions or go deep to understand what it is. I want to help somebody to understand. Coalitions have always been there, and we have two types. A pre-election coalition, which is the presidential governing system, where parties can come together and have a formidable candidate on top, zoned up there. And we say all of us are giving him all the support.
Yeah.
And then we go down to counties and see which party in a particular county is strong and zone it up there. Then go down to constituencies and wards and ask which party, particularly which party in this ward is strong.
Right.
And then we don't compete against each other because we are two forces.
So you essentially allow one party to hold a position
from ward level if we can.
Okay.
Then we have post-election coalition, where it's parliamentary system of governing, where everybody, each party goes all the way, fielding their candidates from MCA to president level. Then after elections, you ask each other, did you attain 50 plus? Did you get enough seats to form a government? No. Then they come together and form a government.
Okay.
It has happened before, and we shouldn't treat it as a strange thing today.
All right.
It's very normal.
That's
the
yes.
question is, though.
Now I'm headed there to answer you. When we talk of sending our party leader to lead in negotiations, we have an organ in our party that mandated him. SDC, we did mandate our... Now, just before that, we had some utterances that were made. Unfortunate utterances. You know, like I said, we lost Baba. And some of us might look strong today, but we are still bleeding quietly. Losing such a gentleman at such a time, I still say it was untimely. You can never say anyway he was old. Daddy is daddy even if he's 100. So somebody in Coast who also holds a pivotal position in UDA said that our party died with Baba. And the Coast region is no longer the bedroom of ODM. Such utterances didn't augur well with...
And this person is in the broad-based agreement with you?
The SG.
Okay.
So we said, hey, look at this. We cannot just, maybe he's representing the party. Because our side, when the SG didn't represent the party's position, we purged him. We have disciplinary measures that we take. Why are they not saying anything when it comes to their SG? So we said, anyway, we are a big house. We cannot be swallowed anyway. We can go it alone. So we had a meeting and it was hot. It wasn't easy to even come to a conclusion. And we had actually decided to do our things our way. It was that bad. But then, because we have sober leaders in both parties, they said, look here, can we talk? And we went actually in, and we people apologized.
Which brings me to my question, which is, everything you've just mentioned or described paints a picture of a political class that is heavy on political expediency, maintaining the status quo, not thinking about the Mwananchi. Why do I say that? Because if we look at what brought together the broad-based arrangement, there were things that were supposed to be achieved, and I will still go back there. And I will just mention, say, 3. Fight against corruption. We talk about fight against corruption. We have 11 billion shillings that was said to have been lost in the health ministry. You have a cabinet secretary who would come and tell you that the country has lost billions of shillings that he was unaware. All of a sudden he has turned to be the saving grace because he is a what? Because he is the... Anyway, so we talk about we talk about leadership and integrity, which are part and parcel of this broad-based arrangement. At that point, everything that is in that document have not been achieved. We see them happening, corruption and wastage still in this government. You talk about supplementary budget. It is leaders in broad-based government who sat there to give the president extra 17 billion shillings to spend on top of roofs that you referred to, having not doing anything. Is broad-based government doing anything for Mwananchi? Because where Mwananchi said, it is there to maintain status quo and not meant to
I want
address
to
their
answer
issues.
you, and I want you to understand me. Your opinion is yours, and it's your right to put it the way you did. But when you talk of status quo and I look at myself, I want to motivate or inspire a young Kenyan out there. I wasn't born and raised with everything at my disposal. I actually educated myself all the way to the University of Nairobi. So if they wanted to be only the halves on the table, Catherine could not even feature, Let us start from there. And listen, you've been talking and I was listening and I took it dearly. ODM is not about just having the halves on the table. When you talk of ODM has fought to bring devolution in Kenya. And with the devolution, unless the governors and the people of Kenya sleep over it, then they won't even feel anything since independence. So it is not about status quo, and I want you to unlock that thought in your mind that it is people who go for broad-based are people who are just after enriching themselves.
Explain to me then.
It is not that.
Then break
No,
down.
let
break
me
it
talk.
down.
I'm
Break it
talking.
down. Break it down. Break it down when you talk about status quo.
Yeah, it is not that.
The reason why status quo becomes then a conversation is because we're here talking about zoning, right? We're here talking about individuals who want to protect their bases, despite the fact that Orange Democratic Movement has for a very long time stood for what? Democracy. It is what is in the middle of ODM. As we talk about zoning,
Wait.
As we talk about zoning, right? As we talk about zoning between ODM and UDA, it is because individuals want to protect their bases so that they come back.
I do not
it
know
has
who.
happened before. It
I
has
do not
happened
know
before.
who.
Doesn't
People who
mean-
fear
I
being
think-
re-elected.
Being re-elected,
want to get
exactly.
the ODM ticket.
Nobody
expressly
is afraid of facing anyone. But when people come together and say we are forming a coalition, it means we are not going to compete against each other, but we have come together for a purpose, to strengthen, to make sure that we win. How do we win? We win by not competing against each other and allowing maybe there are people who just, if I'm very strong and I'm from ODM, my counterpart is strong as well from UDA. A weak candidate will just take it because we've taken a chunk of voters with us. And the way Kalonzo used to say, napita katikati yao. From nowhere, just somebody you didn't even, because if you could come at that time and ask, who are the strong candidates? You hear Omanyo versus ODM versus UDA, something like that. Then a weaker person who who just tried. Anyways, democracy, even if they made it, is still okay. But why do we then come together and say we are in a coalition and then we go at each other? Imagine if I was I was going against a UDA candidate in Busia and we are friends. We are in a coalition. How will we be campaigning? I will be saying, you do not vote for her. She's from this party is like that, because mostly in campaigns, people tear each other. So we'll be tearing each other and calling each other names.
Unfortunately,
now, we will even go now to the party leader or the candidate. We are supposed to say this is the finest, vote for him, he's our presidential candidate, but we are enemies at that time.
Where does Monanchi feature in all this?
Politics is competition, and this competition goes into negative energy, and everybody demonizes the other one. So why should we go into a coalition and we want to demonize
each other? So has that been sorted out? Has that been sorted out? You had a meeting, Cecily Mbarire and Gladys Wanga going to now, it's amazing, but now there are further talks, even within a coalition, to sort things out. Has that been sorted out? And then are you going to get on with the business, or are there still issues that need to be carried out? Because again, if we're going to connect it directly to the question that Dennis is asking, there are 55 million people who are waiting, hoping that a leadership is going to emerge from all of this. So have you sorted out those issues, got those housekeeping issues sorted out?
We had to set something straight. For us to even go into negotiations, we must respect each other. There's no house that can hold, that can be peaceful, if one partner does not respect the other.
So who's not respecting the other here?
I've just said...
so UDA is not respecting ODM.
No, I said one person in UDA, or 2 or 3 people said some things that didn't go well with
So
us.
my question is,
So
has
we
that
had
been
to
sorted
polish
out?
that up.
So has it been sorted out? Has it been sorted out now?
Yes.
It's been sorted out. So everything is back to
now we
everything.
are okay. We are friends again,
Okay.
and negotiations will start soon. So hold your horses. No hurry. In negotiations again, if you hurry, you might end up not remembering some key issues.
So what are you negotiating? Sorry, what are you negotiating?
How will we go into a coalition? Do we just jump in? Yeah. If a man seduced you today, you must also go back and check their background well, their friends, which clan. Now, like that we come from Kenya tribe, what are their norms?
So ODM is being seduced in this case. All right.
So we don't want to assume that we know each other at all.
Mheshimiwa, talking about seduction, I'm just wondering why it is being a problem and you have a challenge to seduce each other internally. Because when we began, you said Secretary General. The other side, we have your fellow leader, Senator of Nairobi, Secretary General of ODM. The other day in Kisumu, we had Mheshimiwa James Orengo saying, now I am party leader. Yet we have the youth leader, party leader. What is this, and why is this? Why are these tensions too much? And you'd rather invest in negotiating with UDA, but not, investing in internal issues that can be able to strengthen this party that initially I referred to as the voice of the people, and you actually referred to it as a conscience of the constitution. Why is it difficult to deal with these tensions internally? Is it a sign of healthy democracy, or is it just a fractured party?
Baba used to leave us to debate loudly and express our views. At the end of the day, we had him giving us direction, or one of the organ, especially NEC, giving direction. So we left our former Secretary General to express himself, the likes of Orengo. And it's unfortunate that a learned and experienced lawyer like Orengo can go into an open air market and pronounce himself as party leader, knowing very well that there is a procedure, there is a way a party leader can be bestowed. He is misleading younger lawyers. A lawyer breaking the law like that, what will another younger lawyer then do? Because they all emulate us. They look at us and say, when I grow up, I want to be like Orengo. I want to be, like Catherine. So he's misleading. And I think he's green with envy.
But the same thing,
our
if you
party
allow me.
leader, Dr. Oburu, the way where I'm seated, I think they should be friends. They've grown together. Orengo has been representing ODM. So by him doing that, I'm thinking, did Baba know that maybe they could put him to represent ODM, yet he was misrepresenting ODM? Many things are coming out after his actions. So he shouldn't be burning with envy when it comes to party leadership.
He's envious of the party leadership position, from what you're saying.
He should have been the first person to congratulate his comrade, his friend. When I was young, I saw Orengo and the Odinga's families together. So I was so surprised that he's resisting, he's not accepting, he's among the people who are part of the problem.
But part
at
of that,
this age, especially after losing Baba, I thought he would be the first one to bring everybody on board and just say.
But in the same spirit, Mheshimiwa, they are also saying that the same party structures are not being adhered to, because you listen to them saying, this organ has not met. They agreed on Mheshimiwa Omanyo as SG.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you know how many MPs ODM has?
Yes.
Over 100.
Yes.
How many MPs are with Linda Wananchi?
Linda Wananchi
versus
it's not a party.
Versus no, I'm just saying how many. It might not be a party, but it is a fraction, a small one, about 5. That side, we are remaining a junk of us. So could we be so wrong The party has a way it runs and cannot stop just because one person or 5 people are disgruntled, although we still listen to them. And that is why we have been dragged to this extent, trying to listen. But it will reach a time where we have to say enough is enough. The party must continue ticking the calendar. We have events to run. We have things to run. And if somebody is not so happy, let them continue being members as they leave others to run the party.
Are there activations and processes towards talking to or mediating with Mheshimiwa Sifuna and his team?
The party leader even spoke to them. I thought after they sat with the party leader, the next day we were going to be okay. At night, my brother was talking of something else. Again, other friends, even our leader, minority leader, Junet, has been talking to all of them. At night, you watch news, prime news, when there's any shows, our SG was saying something opposite. Now, I also got confused. And I said I will not remain in slumberland. I will come up and be the SG because I was his deputy all along.
You talk about party structures and the party constitution that ODM does have, and that is the guiding principle, right? And even while at that, there has been a lot of questions on how you yourself became the ODM Secretary General, because you look at even the processes, the court procedures that have maintained Sifuna as the Secretary General. So when you talk about the secretary, about party structures and the party constitution being followed, many say those who find themselves under broad-based government are choking the party but not respecting the party constitution, So then brings the question, where is ODM with regard to respecting its own party structures? Because what we see from outside, including what we see on the courts, does paint a leadership that does not want to respect its own procedures and processes.
You are lying. Let me help you understand again. Go to Article 21, 1I of our party's constitution. It will help you understand that actually our party is so principled. And I'm not here as an SG because
Article
somebody loved me to be there.
21? Article 21?
21, 1I. As a Deputy Secretary General, then I was mandated, I was given a go-ahead to carry the functions of a Secretary General by the NEC, National Executive Committee. So let us not be lazy in thinking as well. And even if you...
It is not being lazy.
You are. Because we have a constitution.
With all due respect, then, let's talk about your constitution, right? But let's talk about the court orders that have been given, that have said that you need to go through the internal mechanisms in the party before you even suspend a Secretary General. It is not me speaking. It is the Court of the Republic of Kenya. And a court order
and that is
law. So one asks the question, if the party that you represent, that you argue is actually following democracy, does not respect a court order, then take me through your party constitution and you and your party respecting the same.
Thank you. Now, if we have very, very important things to do in the party, do we wait for the courts, or the party continues as we also adhere to what the courts
Mheshimiwa, the law is not a suggestion. It's mandatory. The law is not a suggestion. And you coming from a party, you have to follow all the laws and processes that are there.
And we did.
I'm interested in that particular article in your party constitution.
Let me help you. Actually, I work with it.
Mheshimiwa, there is no 21. The articles end at 12.31.
It's here. 21. This is Article 21, 1I. Now, you can read it loud.
So the one you have on your website, I think, is the wrong document. 21, 1I. Insofar as permitted by this Constitution and or as authorized by the National Executive Committee, perform the functions of the Secretary General. And so this is on the Deputy Secretaries General.
That time.
Yeah.
So as we wait for other procedures, I continue We cannot close the doors and say ODM is no longer functioning until we finish.
I think the question that
issue.
Dennis is asking is, were there internal mechanisms? Because the same constitution,
Many.
I am sure, allows for internal mechanisms even before you go to the political parties disputes tribunal.
Even Sifuna didn't need to go to court because already people were talking to him. So what was so off or wrong for him to listen to?
But he was
the
expelled.
party
But he was
leader?
expelled.
He was expelled. You had a meeting. I'm sorry. You had a meeting at the coast, and just give me a few on this.
The word
You had,
you
I'm
said
sorry.
is rough.
You had a meeting,
No,
and he
you are
seized.
using the wrong word.
Oh, well, when
Nobody expel him.
somebody is removed, okay,
Step
let's
aside.
okay, no, I'm sorry, but you had a meeting whereby you read a statement.
Yes.
You read a statement that went famous, and the words you used were not step aside. The words you used essentially meant that the Secretary General then had vacated that position, and you had then stepped in. It was not about him stepping aside while
Expulsion means he's no longer even
he
a
was
member.
removed. Exactly.
He's a member.
No,
of
no.
ODM.
Expulsion meant that he was vacating that position. The statement was made
of
by
the SG.
the statement was made by yourself.
Did you
So
also ask why?
Please allow me to ask the question so that you can then answer, because we're short of time now,
Yeah.
and I'm going to take some leeway to then be able to do this.
But you people are talking more than me.
Well,
I
if you
should
would
also
answer the
talk.
question, then we wouldn't have to ask more. Just please hear me on this.
Okay.
You made a statement, and it was very clear at that point that Edwin Sifuna then ceased to be Secretary General after the SDC that certain members held. Is that the case or not?
The truth is, he wasn't functioning.
No,
as
I'm asking a
the
question,
SG.
and my question is clear.
And I'm also
from the
answering
statement
you.
that you made,
I'm also
was it
answering
that
you.
he ceased to be Secretary General of ODM or not?
He shouldn't be making or putting an impediment to the normal running of the party. So if he's
SG,
not-
when you had the SDC and certain members sat and had a meeting, did you make the decision to remove Edwin Sifuna as SG of ODM?
Do you understand what SDC means? You don't. SDC, they left that particular slot because we were still handling Sifuna's issue through the tribunal. So there is the difference between SDC and NDC. And prior to that,
Was he removed as the SG of ODM or not?
NEC,
Was he removed as the SD of ODM?
he was asked to stop acting as the SG. I do.
He wasn't acting, he was the SG.
He was
Was,
the
he removed as the SG or not? It's a simple question.
No, we were still handling his problem. You know, you ran ahead of us, yet we are still handling this issue. So he was the SG until when I was promoted, and he was asked to step aside.
But when he went
You get it?
to
Was he
court,
asked, so that if he was asked to step aside, he could have refused?
Listen, we had so many organs. We have board of trustees, we have our party leader, we have our minority. You know, people have been talking to him, but the only problem is we were not coming out to tell people, hey, we are trying to talk to these fellows. So when we realized that he's more out there talking and us, we are not saying what we are doing, we now said, fine.
But
we
when
might
you
we
are-
might get an answer somewhere in the
When you are
future, but
ODM.
unfortunately our time has come to our time has come to
Anyway,
an end at this point.
it is
She's
well.
the Secretary
We don't
General
hate
of the
him.
ODM
We
party,
don't hate
Catherine Omanyo. Thank you for joining us this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.